This series is a series on stewardship and generosity, and it's week 1. And I'm telling you, over the next 5 weeks, I'm about to take you on a journey. This series.
What's good, YouTube? It's your girl, really, with a Mo Money Really, period. Because it's going to be a new seg, Mo Money Really Confess. It is March the 7th of 2022. Shout out to my Pisces, because it's still your season. And y'all are super dope, you feel me? So shout out to all the Pisces. Drop your logo behind. Drop your astro sign, your astrology sign in the comments because you're dope. And today is amazing. It's super provision. God is so great. He's so freeing. He's so defined. He's so intentional. And we just pray that God speaks through me today, that it's not my words that is coming to your screen, but it is God using my mouth, my heart, to deliver a message unto his people. So again, today is definitely March the 7th. I'm so happy to be here, y'all. I'm just so thankful for God's intentionalness, that when God speaks something and he says something, that it is so, and he expects you to steward it well. In this season, guys, with YouTube, I have to be totally transparent. I'm not saying that I had forgot about my YouTube or that I wasn't wanting to serve this vision, but I could say that my attention may have been shifting over to doing things more of film writing, or just being intentional about serving other visions that God may have given me. But the way that we stagnatize ourselves, the way that we keep ourselves stagnant, sometimes the reason that we're not growing well is because we're not stewarding well. And so with this podcast, thank you, Apostle Jackie. I love you forever. God sent the confirmation to remain a good steward over what I've given you. Guys, when I first started this YouTube, I knew that God spoke to me. He gave me the vision. He told me when to do it. And I just wanted to be intentional about doing it. I continue to serve the vision, even if it didn't seem fruitful, if it didn't seem as though it was doing what I would want it to do. But how do we know that God's obedience is what he says to do? It's not compared to your result or expectation of what you're expecting him to do. And so God told me to steward this well. And what God will do is kind of like pop-up checks, because he's a dad. And I could say that I wasn't stewarding this well. It's been about 10 days since I've posted a video. And shout out to Apostle Jackie. I love you forever. She just came and talked to me. And she's like, hey, I love your podcast. Continue to allow God to use you. And totally it snapped me back into focus. This weekend, the boys went with their dad, and God totally surprised me, y'all. I was not expecting God to do this at all. I've been taking a break from social media because social media can just be so heavy, y'all. And I know it can be hard to get off there, but I noticed a lot of the things that I was feeling was not even my own feelings. It was spirits that I was digesting through social media. So anytime I would get on Instagram or Facebook, immediately I would start to question or feel inadequate with my circumstances. Oh, I'm not living my best life because I don't have this endorsement. Oh, I'm not living in this expectation of where I should be at this current season because my life doesn't look like that. And I just found myself doing a lot of comparison, and it allowed the enemy to seep in and continue to lie to me, and those lies became my truth. So when God told me to get off social media back in November, I just kind of was obedient to that and got off. I believe that he said it's okay to get back on now, but now that I have been off social media, I really don't have the appetite to get on. And the thing with social media, and we ain't even talk about social media, but God said, let's talk about social media. The thing with social media, y'all, for real, the way they're trying to shift social media is to keep you on your phone. And how many of us know that social media, when we're on our phone, we're not worried about what's going on? I could say I found myself last week, as soon as my children came home. I'm thankful with this schedule that God has given me, that I'm working from 8 to 2:40. So the whole time the kids are at school, I'm at my desk, God is meeting me, and I'm working within purpose. But from 2:40 until the kids go to bed, that's my time to be a mom and to focus on the things that I need to focus on with the children. One day the enemy came in to seep in, and I'm on my phone, had installed Instagram, and I couldn't stop doing this. And I have totally forgotten about my kids, not questioning them, how their day was, not checking up on them. And it just goes to show you the amount of evilness that the enemy has control over social media. So I'm not saying don't get on social media. YouTube is a social media platform. You know, we are on social media. But I would say, let's be mindful, y'all. Even with the metaverse and all these things where they're trying to have you in virtual reality, where you're basically living your life through your phone, don't miss out on real life or compare your life to a fictional life, missing out on the life that God has for you in purpose. And so shout out to my Legacy Leadership fam. Shout out to Apostle Jackie. I love you forever, y'all. Y'all are so amazing. I'm so thankful to be anchored in such a great community, being able to minister through what God is using me to do, because I'm just a gift holder. God is the gift and he's using me. And I'm just so thankful that he's allowing communication to flow through me to your screens. So drop some comments that we are moving into a new season. I declare it and I see it. And I'm just so thankful that God is doing a new thing on this side of earth. And so shout out to my TC fam. Shout out to my TC fam for real. Transformation Church. Pastor Michael Todd, you are awesome. We are now moving into a new series called Mo Money, Mo Problems. And I could say as soon as I heard that, I was like, yo, More Money, More Problems. That was my song when I was 5. Super duper bop. I had this little obsession with Diddy, and that was my song. But how many of us can honestly say, more money, more problems? Can we confess that that is a poverty mindset? So more money, more problems. When we break that down, more money, I will have more problems. How many of us know that when we speak things that we are loosing that thing into the atmosphere? So if God is trusting me to have more money, wouldn't it be more purpose? And so shout out to Pastor Todd for really breaking that aspect down of being in a poverty mindset, having a prosperity mindset, because a lot of us like to focus on prosperity. That's the whole wave now with a lot of different ministries. I know back with Creflo Dollar, with the jet, it was a whole thing about prosperity, but then there's also the purpose gospel. Guys, for me, this was a struggle. Coming from a family, my birth family, when I was born with my mom, back in my hometown in Somerville, Georgia. Shout out to Somerville. If you're from Somerville, yo, definitely connect with your girl. Somerville is so small, we only have one Walmart. And immediately from birth, I could see that it was an attack on my life, because here I was born in circumstantial situations, born to a mother who really didn't know what to do with me, who really was in a position where she really couldn't take care of me. My mom was in prison when she had me, and being given to her cousin who believed in God, who anchored in God, was a profession of God's covering through a poverty mentality. And so what I'm figuring out that God is working through me right now, and he's downloading this into me, from birth, I was born into poverty circumstances. Growing up, my mom had multiple business ventures. When I was a kid in my lifetime, my mother had an in-home daycare. She also was beginning and had, when I was about 5, she was starting up an assisted living home. And by the time I was 8, that was just moving. She had my cousins living in the house. She had one cousin that was disabled, and so she was receiving money for that cousin. She was taking care of 2 of my aunties who were elderly, and she was receiving money for them. She had me that was adopted, and she told me, you know, my mom really wasn't paying anything, so I don't know if she was getting anything from the state. She had my cousin who I believe, she might have been getting money for her. But either way it goes, my mom had a good 5 or 6 incomes coming into the house. Growing up in Marietta, y'all, I grew up in Marietta, Georgia. My mom was owning her home. So let me tell you, I really got to break this down because it's a prosperity within a poverty. And so growing up in Marietta, I grew up in a 5-bedroom home. Grew up in a 5-bedroom house. We had 3 rooms upstairs, 2 bathrooms. It was 1 bathroom in the hall, 1 in my mom's room. Downstairs, it was 2 bedrooms, a garage, a sitting room. It was a bathroom in the garage. I grew up in this home with a mother who adopted me. Now, granted, my mom that adopted me, she was a part of our family, so it was my mom's cousin. But my real mother lived in Summerville, Georgia. And so I was removed from that situation because my mom was in jail, and I was brought to Marietta, in which I was raised there. Now, when my mom brought me from Summerville, she was about 50 years old. So she was older. And by this time, she was moving into businesses. She had my cousins and my auntie. So she was able to really provide. She was living in a 5-bedroom home. Now, prior to getting me, the life that she was building before me with her own children, because she has 10 daughters, was nothing like the life that she was providing me. When my mom had her first child, was at 16, she had a 3-bedroom trailer, 8 kids, and they all lived in that one space. So now my mother, at 50 years old, seeing God bless her through purpose with her starting businesses. And I believe and I know that God was intentional in that area because it gave me the mindset to do businesses. And it's all God's strategic plan. Growing up in this house in Marietta, my mom had money. It was a prosperous house, but we lived on poverty principles. And so a few things that I saw that I want to quote: hood poverty, hood prosperity. When we would go home for a family reunion, when we would go back to Summerville, my family would intentionally dress up, put on their best of the best of the best. And it would almost be like a stunting event. Like we going back home to our hometown family to show them that we've made it and we're better than them. And I found myself doing this because this is what I'm seeing. So I'm putting on my best of the best. And now I'm snooting my nose up at my family that I don't even know, my family, and stunning like I'm the best of the best. And so when Pastor Todd began to talk about a poverty mindset, it's the mindsets that we have of poverty, y'all. Sometimes your prosperity mindset can really be poverty, because if you feel led to stunt on people who don't have what you have, that's because you haven't always had it. And now that you have it, you feel that you have to show it off. It's starting to define you. You are that Gucci bag. And I thank God that God never really allowed me to really have a lot of stuff. When I grew up in the house with my mom, her daughter, her birth daughter, lived there as well, and she had 2 daughters. And so I grew up with her 2 daughters. We were around the same age, and those 2 daughters got everything. Like any and everything that came out, they would always get it. And my mom was still kind of stuck in that old school way of growing up. Don't ask me for nothing when we go in the store. You ain't getting nothing. I would pray that my cousins would ask for something to eat when we go out, because if they ask, we would go. If they ask their mom, we will all go get some Burger King. But if I ask, I'm about to get embarrassed. And so it made me, in a way, not ask for things growing up, but it also, the way I see God was using it was to not make me materialistic. Growing up, my family would go out a lot. My mom that raised me with her daughter and their two daughters on Saturdays, they would go out and be gone from like 8 o'clock to like 9 o'clock at night. They would be gone all day just shopping, shopping, shopping. And I would be in the house. I believe that God really used this to craft my storytelling because I would find myself coming up with different stories or life aspects that were so different from my own life. And I would create these own type of worlds and environments, and I would become that person to kind of escape where I was. And so with a series that I'm writing now titled Untitled with this character Adrian, I would kind of become Adrian because Adrian's life was so different than mine. Adrian had a family that saw him. Adrian had material things, the things that I thought that I wanted because I seen that held significance. That's what I saw growing up. But I was experiencing something so opposite. I remember when I was 17 and I got my first little job, my mom was taking care of my cousin who was disabled, and she would need someone to give her a bath. And so the in-home nurse that came during the week, she really couldn't work on weekends because she had a daughter, and she just asked me, hey, do you want to give Mashika a bath like on the weekends, and I'll pay you like $20, $50 on the weekend. Me being 17 in high school, absolutely. And I started to make that $20, $50 a weekend. It really was 25, y'all. I made that little 25 on Saturday. I'm going to City Trends, and I stretched that money. Like every other week, 1 week, I'm buying me a little $20 pack of hair. Next week, I'm buying me a little fit at City Trends. And it taught me how less is more, but it also implemented a poverty mindset within me. And so I know that, growing up, a lot of the ways that our family carried themselves, a lot of things that we did, that shapes who we are. And it's nothing wrong with being mindful of your money. But Steve Harvey said to expose yourself to different things, to be able to get used to different things, y'all. I could say in this season, God is definitely taking me from poverty mindset, breaking in half prosperity. Because prosperity is just thinking that when you have money, that you really don't need God. That your money defines you. And that could be a lot of us. What I notice is people that go from poverty, that grew up with nothing, once they get a good job, once they all of this, then that's who they are. And that's when we get the aunties that want to come just to stunt. That's when we get the little cousins who become privileged because your mom couldn't buy you these things, and you think the way to show your child that you love them is to buy them. And I could say for a while, that's what I thought being a good mother was. As long as I could buy my babies a tablet, they break a tablet, I can get them one, I'm being a good mother. And for a long time, I thought prosperity was a supplement for non-love. If I continue to buy and I'm providing, as long as my kids got clothes, as long as my kids got a roof, I'm a good mom. But if my baby's crying and I can't meet him at his sensitivity, that doesn't make me a good mother. If I can't talk to my child, if it eats me up to have a conversation with my baby, but I can take him to Disneyland, I might be struggling with a prosperity gospel. And I know that the MO is more is good. More is good. I got money, so now this defines that I'm doing well. But how many of us know that there's plenty of non-believers who are living well, living great lives, and there's plenty of non-believers who are millionaires who have killed themselves. I can say I got a taste of this during the time when all that money was being given out to the government, all them stimulus checks. God orchestrated me to just kind of save that money. And this is where poverty and prosperity mix. I was out of work from the aquarium. I didn't know, whether I was going back to work like a lot of us during that time of COVID. It was a lot of unsureness. But what I did know is that they were pouring this money in and I'm going to stack it. Poverty. I'm going to stack this up because when this money stop coming, I'm going to make sure that me and my kids got enough to pay for this hotel, that me and my kids going to be good. And so I stacked. Now, prosperity. I spent money, but I didn't ball out. I bought some Uggs. Prosperity. Gotta show I got some money. Ain't never bought no Uggs. Ain't never thought about it. And it's nothing wrong with having nice things, y'all. It's nothing wrong with that. It's nothing wrong with having those things, but we also have to prioritize what we need to prioritize. So if you go into the store buying Jordans with your income tax, but you didn't pay your rent, it was a lot of that going on with the rent memorandum when a lot of people didn't want to pay their rent, didn't want to pay their bills, but you done bought out. What did you do with all your unemployment? What did you do with all your stimulus money? And even in that season, y'all, I understood it. Because when I first started getting income tax, let's be honest, let's be hot. When we first started really getting some taste of money, you wasn't really thinking about going to pay bills. You was just spending. That's a poverty mindset, y'all. The same mindset that consumes you, that once you get a good job, that you should go back home and stunt. And so this really broke it down for me to understand that the mindset that we truly need to have is a purpose mindset, y'all. Tapping into what God created you to do and why he's blessing you with this money. I could say that God began to be a real daddy to me when he started minimizing my money to only have enough for what I have. Now, when God limits your money to only what you need, rather than being frustrated, go to the Father like, hey, God, I see that you're structuring my money and you're sustaining me. You're not allowing me not to be able to pay my rent. You're not allowing me not to pay my light bill, but I'm not having money left over to go to Burger King. I ain't got no money left over to go to the mall. Father, help me to be a better steward. Being a good steward is serving. Being a good steward is paying your tithes. Being a good steward is giving. And so in this season, y'all, where God is definitely doing a culture shift, where God is starting to shift kingdom to prosperity, where kingdom is the norm, because truly, y'all, as children of God, we shouldn't have no worries. God should be able to trust us with millions of dollars and know that it's going to be used for purpose. But the reason so many believers may be struggling is because we haven't mastered the art of finance. And I'm not saying I'm a novice. I'm 27 years old. God is still teaching me and grooming me. But one thing that I noticed that God is definitely doing with my heart posture, with changing me and making sure that he has me, is the money of finance. That's why God asked for 10% first. Not after you pay your bills. Not after you go to the store. Not the last thing you do with your money. But you pay first. That's a test of your heart right there. And once we began to connect the two, that money truly is connected to our heart, then we will truly understand that God moves in the area of finance. Money is to be a gift. It's not an asset. We don't need money to be happy. I know that we believe that, but man, I've had some of the best joy in this season with God taking me off of my job. So many questions of what's going to happen for me. How is this going to happen? Once I relinquished all that and just trust in God, God has been sending resources and provision in ways I've never imagined. And preparation prepares for provision. And so, guys, I'm not a novice in finance. I'm only 27 years old. God is definitely working something new in me. But I trust the Father. I trust the Father in the area of finance because all perfect gifts come from the Father. And God said, if you're not a good steward over little, how can I trust you with much? So the keys is to allow God to change your heart with your finance. And a way to show God that you're intentional is being intentional about sowing into the things that God said, which is your purpose. Purpose sowing can be given to someone that you know the Holy Spirit is telling you to give to. Purpose sowing could be sowing into that vision that God gave you the business venture for, but you still questioning God about how it's going to happen, how I'm going to do this, how I'm going to do that. God didn't say none of that. If God blessed you with the money to do it, believe it. Even if he ain't, prepare. Preparation provides provision. So God, even if you ain't blessed me with the money for the house, for the big brother, big sister house, I'm going to take you at your word and I'm going to be intentional with what you've given me. And I'm going to use the resources and I'm going to do what you said. I'm going to show you that I believe you. And so y'all, I'm excited for this new series. This one definitely hit me in the head because, I thought that being a good steward of finances was given, and a lot of the motivation for my giving was just because, I wish somebody would have did that for me. When I was homeless and struggling, y'all, I wish that somebody would have did half of the things that they did for me. And even in the season of not having or not working, it's even needs there that I'm like, okay, God, I know that you want me to be intentional about this. And sometimes your trials and obstacles aren't even for you. They're for somebody else. God may be taking you through homelessness so that he can instill that in your heart so that you will have the heart to give for your purpose. God may be taking you through a season on that job that you hate because he's wanting to instill one of those attributes from that job in you while having you to minister at that job. God may be using you to take you through the worst financial season of your life and able to show you how to be a good steward over what he has so that when you master it now, he can bless you with the millions and trust you. I believe that God is intentional and he is shifting culture. God is placing kingdom at the top. Kingdom will be the norm. God is snatching back his kingdom. So let's be in position for the royalty that God has for us. So guys, I'm super excited about this season. God is just doing a new thing in me. And I'm really excited about that. It's just trusting God, y'all. And I'm growing in this area as well. But I can say once I just trust him and just say, you know what, God, I'm not going to worry about how this is going to get paid. I'm not going to worry about what this is. I'm not going to worry about that. God continued to meet me serving a purpose. Anytime I served any type of purpose within purpose, God blessed me and took care of me in another aspect. He takes care of you. Seek first the kingdom of God and everything will be added. We don't have to worry about bills. God did not put us here to worry about bills. We don't have to worry about that. I'm not telling nobody to go quit their job. But what I am saying is if you serve God with your purpose through your strength, the strength that you are empowered by the Holy Spirit, that God will add to your life. Believers are to live a blessed life. That's our birthright. But we got to tap in and be good stewards. God can only trust us with what he can trust us with. And so in this season of tax return, let's just pray and ask God, what is our purpose? God, why did you put me here? Why did you create me? You didn't create me, I know, to work at Walmart. Okay, you might want me to get something from that. Even with my call center job, God wanted me to at least learn the typing skill. And with this work from home job, if nothing else, he wanted me to get this desk and get this monitor. So God, what are you using me for in this season? How can I steward what you've given me in all aspects? All that you have is all that you need. And so, y'all, this will be a More Money, More Pride. Start a new seg, More Money, More Pride. Still want to tap into true confessionals because I still just want to take you guys on this journey with me of what God is doing in my life. And I'm just super excited about that. I feel led to give some commentary about what Pastor Mike was talking about with the new sermon series for More Money, More Problems. Shout out to my TC fam. But I am just going to stay rooted in doing the true confessionals and just kind of talking about my journey that God is really just taking me on, y'all. And so I'm super excited about that. Shout out to my Legacy Leadership fam. Shout out to all my Pisces because y'all are super dope. And thank you for supporting me because y'all are amazing, yo. And I'm just excited for what God is doing in this season in your lives and forever because God is the ruler. So this is really with a more money, more pretty, more money, more problems.
To get in your mind that this is time for preparation, the other word, stewardship. That's managing something that's not yours.